everyone, it is Jazz here, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my to be read for the Backlist Book-a-Thon. This is a month-long readathon that's taking place starting January 15th and running to February 15th. And the point of the readathon is to read backlist books or books published before the year that you're currently in. So these would all be books that were published before 2020 in this case. This is a readathon created by Backlist Books, so I will link you to their announcement/prompts video below in the description so that you can learn more about the other hosts of the readathon this time around, and also just learn about the readathon in general, because this does have a point system that is optional that you can participate in. I'm going to jump into the prompts because there are quite a few of them. There are 10 of them, but I think these prompts are great because they're definitely going to inspire me to read books that I've either had forever, had on a to be read list for forever, or just need to get read before I attempt to read any more books. Prompt 1 is to read a book published before January 2020. So for this, I thought that I would pick one of the books off my 2020 to be read list. I will link you to the video that I made of that in the description as well as on the screen if you want to check that out. I decided to go with Called Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater, which is the first book in the Dreamer trilogy, which, if you don't know, is a spin-off trilogy from the Raven Cycle series. I do hope that I at least like it because I love the Raven Cycle series so much, people. Second prompt is to read an older anticipated release. So I wanted a graphic novel option, and so I decided to go with the graphic novel adaptation of the book Speak, which was originally written by Laurie Halse Anderson, and this features artwork by Emily Carroll, who wrote a really cool graphic novel called Through the Woods. I love the book Speak so much. I love Laurie Halse Anderson's writing abundantly. I love the artwork that Emily Carroll does. I pre-ordered this book because I think it came out 2 years ago, maybe, and I proceeded to get excited about it, and not read it. I'm intrigued to see what I think of it in terms of like how it interprets the story, because obviously silence is a big part of this book, so I'm thinking the artwork is really going to have to tell the story in this, and so I'm intrigued. Number 3 is to read a book that has been on your TBR for at least 6 months, and I'm going to go with Good Omens. I meant to read this for the entire year of 2019, and I just did not get to it. Heard amazing things about this book. I really want to watch the TV series, and I don't want to watch the TV series until I actually read the book first. Number 4 is to read a book that you've been avoiding because it's a backlist title. I don't know that I've avoided this book because it's a backlist title, but I feel like I've oddly been avoiding it. And I feel like that's as good as an excuse as any. So I'm going to go with reading Firebird by Mercedes Lecky for this one. Put this on a to be read like I don't know how long ago. A couple of years ago. I don't even think I cracked it open once even to like read the first paragraph. But I really want to read it because it's a retelling of Firebird. And I feel like as a dancer I'm required to read a retelling of Firebird. Number 5 is to read, reread, or completely in whole a book that you are still not sure that you want on your shelf. For this, I'm going to be rereading The Box by Richard Matheson. I watched the film adaptation of one of the short stories in the short story collection called Button Button, but the film adaptation was called The Box. And I couldn't tell you what the movie was about now. I guess I thought it was interesting enough to buy this book. And I do remember reading the entirety of this short story collection, but I remember not a single short story in this, including Button Button, which concerns me because that means the book was not particularly memorable, which means I didn't think it was great and I didn't think it was bad. So does that mean it was kind of like a meh 3-star situation? And I also know that short story books are something that I have a really hard time sticking with. So if I reread this and I end up thinking that it's just sort of meh. I'm thinking I'm going to unhaul it, but I may read it, be reminded that it's awesome, and keep it. 6 is a book that you've wanted to read but haven't gotten around to. No excuses this time, it says, with like an exclamation point. So I'm going to go with Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. I've owned this for forever. I've started it a couple of times. It's not because I don't like it. It is amusing as heck, the parts that I've read, but for some reason I cannot stick with Northanger Abbey, and I want to finish it because I would like to, complete another Jane Austen. I've read Sense and Sensibility. I've read Pride and Prejudice, so I need to continue on through her works, and this is the one that I want to read most. Number 7 is to read the book that has been on your to be read the longest, and I'm going to go with The Root Cellar by Janet Lunn. You guys don't even understand. I have owned this book since grade school, and guess what? I have not read it a single time, and for some reason it still manages to look this beat up because I apparently just shove it in some hidey hole and don't read it. It needs to be read. Like, I feel sorry for it at this point. Let's do this historical fiction with a sort of sci-fi twist, because I think there's time travel involved situation. I know that I probably will like this. I don't know why this never happened. Number 8 is to read a book that you've been avoiding because it intimidates you. So for this, I'm going to attempt to read Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. I feel like this book intimidates me because I feel like in general Virginia Woolf's writing is very layered, if you will. I don't know if I'm like mentally ready all the time in my adulthood when I'm really busy to do Virginia Woolf, so that's one reason why it intimidates me. But I feel like the thing that intimidates me most about Mrs. Dalloway is the fact that it has no chapters, which makes sense because it's supposed to take place in the duration of one day. But guys, like, the lack of chapters just is something that weirdly freaks me out. Like, I need to know that there's like a break. And yes, I'm sure the book has page breaks. Like, my eyeball not seeing chapters, it intimidates the heck out of me. So I'm thinking I'm going to audiobook this one. I do want to read it and then reread the book The Hours, which has to do with that book. So I feel like I need to tackle this. At least give it a good, like, solid halfway through before I, like, give up on Mrs. Dalloway altogether. Number 9 is to read a book that you've been avoiding because it got mixed or bad reviews. I did go to the library recently, and I wanted to put at least one of my library books on this list, so I'm going to go with The Forest of Hands and Teeth by Carrie Ryan. I don't know that this necessarily has bad reviews, but I feel like it's a book that has a lot of mixed reviews, and when you look it up on Goodreads, the ratings are kind of like all over the place, and it kind of makes me a little nervous. But I also feel like there are people that I do follow on YouTube that ended up really liking it, so there's definitely like a chance that I would probably like this book because it does sound like it has like a zombie spin to it. The last prompt is to read a book that you received as a gift or you were recommended that you are still not sure that you're gonna like. And I'm going to read The Serpent of Venice by Christopher Moore for this. So one of my dear friends, Katrina, loaned me this book about maybe 3 years ago, like a real long time ago. And I did read the first book in the series that she loaned me, Fool. If you don't know what Fool and Serpent of Venice are, they're kind of satirical studies of Shakespeare in particular, but other literature as well. And I found in recent years that I do weirdly struggle with satire in books. I like it in visual media, and I do think it's hilarious in visual media, but for some reason satire in books, like, it doesn't always hit me with the full impact that I want it to, and I think that's why I think I gave Fool like 3 stars, so it's made me reluctant to want to jump into this one, but I still want to, like, complete the duology. Like, I feel like it's only 2 books. I can be a completionist with this. I also want to give Katrina her book back. That was my to be read for the Backlist Book-a-Thon. I'm really excited to give this readathon a try. I've never done a month-long readathon before, so I'm really intrigued to see like how I schedule out reading all these different books. Plus I've got like other books that I'm still reading that'll probably be like in like breaking from this book schedule for, so we'll see how the readathon goes. I'm intrigued to see how many of these 10 books I'm actually going to read, but I do hope that I at least get a good solid half of these books completed. I will be updating you guys on my social media, so on my Instagram and Twitter and such, so all the links to those are below if you want to follow me on those things. Because I'm unsure about some of these books, please in the comment section below drop me a comment on what you thought of these books if you've read any of them, and I will definitely put those in consideration when I start choosing the order I'm going to read these books in. So let me know all the down low on these books if you've read them before. And that is it for the day, my fabulous peeps. I will see you all soon. Bye!